Marina from Health Clothes, and today we are talking about proper food combining. First, let's see, why does proper food combining matter? Digestion is a chemical alternation of food in the digestive tract. In order for the body to be able to use all the nutrients from the food, all the components of the food have to be broken down to their cellular level. If this doesn't happen, indigestion occurs. Indigestion means the body cannot use nutrients from the food, but also fermentation and putrefaction of food, which leads to the creation of toxic substances such as acetic acid, alcohol, scattles, indoles, and so on. There might be a couple of causes for indigestion, but one of them is improper food combining. Improper food combining is when we, for example, combine foods that have different passing times through the digestive tract. So the ones that move slower hold on the ones that would normally move faster, and when we combine foods that require different digestive enzymes and different pH values of digestive juices. So it is important to know which foods are compatible digestion-wise in order to combine well. In this video we're going to talk about proper food combining of raw foods that a biological human diet consists of: fruits, veggies, nuts and seeds. Macronutrients are calorie sources, and there are three macronutrients: sugars, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats or lipids. I've just said that all foods in nature contain all three macronutrients. Does that mean that something that contains only one macronutrient, such as sugar, oil, protein powder, is not food at all? But let's back to our topic. So all natural foods contain all three macronutrients, and we can classify different foods into groups according to their dominating macronutrient. We can classify fruit into four groups. First one would be sweet fruits: bananas, dates, persimmons, and so on. Then we have subacid fruit, such as pears, apples, raspberries, and so on. Acid fruit, tangerines, pineapples, kiwis, and so on. And fatty fruits, such as avocado. Then we have vegetables. We can classify vegetables into tender leafy greens, such as butterhead lettuce, and then cellulose vegetables, such as kale, broccoli, cauliflower. Starchy vegetables. I would divide starchy vegetables into mildly starchy vegetables, such as zucchini, which is botanically fruit, and starchy vegetables, such as potato, that we cannot eat raw at all. And also we have nuts and seeds, which are predominantly fats. Now first we're going to see what are acceptable combining combinations, and then what are unacceptable combining combinations. First, sweet fruits. Sweet fruits combine well with other sweet fruits, bananas and dates, for example. Sweet fruits also can combine well with some subacid fruit, for example, bananas and raspberries. And greens, for example, bananas and lettuce. Imagine a banana wrapped in a lettuce leaf. Subacid fruit. Subacid fruit combine well with other subacid fruits. Subacid fruit can also combine well with some sweet fruit, for example, as I said, bananas and raspberries. And subacid fruit can combine well with some acid fruit, for example, pears and tangerines. And subacid fruit combine well with greens. Acid fruits combine well with, other acid fruits, for example, tangerines and kiwis. And with some subacid fruit, for example, as I said, pears and tangerines, and with greens, and also with fats, for example, guacamole, tomatoes, and avocado. Another good combination for acid fruits and fats would be, for example, in my raw vegan yogurt that you can see right here. Vegetables. Leafy green vegetables combine well with everything. So greens are way to go. They are rich in water, low in calories, which make them neutral in terms of digestion, so they combine well with all other foods. Cellulose vegetables combine well with greens, and starchy vegetables combine well with greens. Bear in mind that cellulose vegetables and starchy vegetables are very difficult to digest raw. So if you want to use them raw, yeah, you can maybe a little bit shredded and sprinkled on your salad, but not as the main ingredient, because they are hard to impossible to digest. So if you want to use them raw, they are best used as juices, and if you really want to use them as main ingredient, then cook them or not use them at all. Mildly starchy vegetables such as zucchini combines well with greens, but also with fats and acids. For example, zucchini noodles in guacamole. And now we have nuts and seeds which combine well with greens, but also with some acid fruits. So those would be acceptable combining combinations, and now let's see what are unacceptable combining combinations. First of all would be sweet fruits and acids. Just imagine banana and orange. They are so different in their texture, taste, and water content. So they are obviously different digestion-wise. Acids also delay the digestion of sugars, so sugars ferment. Sweet fruits and fats. Combination would be, for example, dates and nuts. I know this combination is tasty and it is popular in many raw desserts. However, it is not the best option for digestion. Why? Well, sugars pass the mouth, pass the esophagus, pass the stomach. They don't require any digestion in either mouth or stomach, and they go directly into the intestine for absorption. On the other hand, we have fats that sit in the stomach for a couple of hours, up to 12 hours, and then if they are introduced with sugars, they will hold on the sugars and sugars will ferment. Starch plus sugars. On a standard diet, this would be, for example, bread and jam, and on a raw diet, this would be, for example, pumpkin and dates. I know those raw vegan pumpkin pies are very delicious. Even I made a recipe for raw vegan pumpkin cupcakes that you can see right here if you want, because it is so delicious, but digestion-wise, it is not the best idea. So what happens when we put some starch in our mouth? Our brain detects the starch in the mouth and dictates the secretion of ptyalin, a salivary amylase that starts digestion of starch. Ptyalin converts starch into maltose. However, if we cover the starch with sugars, our brain detects only sugar and doesn't produce ptyalin. And so the starch skips that initial phase of digestion, the conversion of starch into maltose, and starch goes down the esophagus and ferments. But digestion can be divided into phases, and the success of each phase of digestion depends on the completion of the previous phase. Starch plus acid is not a good combination. On a standard diet, this would be, for example, bread and tomato, and on a raw diet, this would be, for example, carrots and tomatoes. This is not a good combination because acid destroys ptyalin, so there is no starch conversion in the mouth, which leads to starch fermentation down the road. Starch plus fats. This is also another unacceptable combination. On a standard diet, this would be, for example, potato chips, and on a raw vegan diet, this would be, for example, pumpkin and avocado. This is not a good combination because when dextrose goes into the intestine, it is to be converted by the pancreatic amylase. If it enters the intestine with fats, bile will also be secreted, and bile makes acid environment which inhibits the secretion of pancreatic amylase, so the result is fermentation of carbohydrates. Starch plus protein is another unacceptable combination. Just think of beans. They are rich in proteins and starch, and they create gas. This is simply because proteins and starch require very different pH values of digestive juices. Pepsin, the enzyme that digests proteins, requires hydrochloric acid, and starch, on the other hand, require alkaline pH values of digestive juices. And two processes that require so opposite pH values cannot go on at the same time. Fats and proteins. On a standard diet, that would be oil on meat, and on a raw vegan diet, that would be, for example, avocado and nuts. This is because fats inhibit pepsin, the enzyme that digests proteins, but also inhibit the secretion of hydrochloric acid, and hydrochloric acid is the environment that the pepsin's activity depends on. I would also like to mention another separate group of fruits, that is watermelons and melons. Melons and watermelons are best eaten alone since they are much richer in water content than any other food and thus move through the digestive tract much quicker than any other food. However, I will also say that from my personal experience, melons combine well with raspberries and blueberries, for example, and I know of a lot of people who like to add some lemon juice and passion fruit on their watermelon, and it seems that it works fine for them. So test and see what works for you. And now I would like to answer in advance a question that I believe will show up. Why should we care about food combining when all natural foods contain all three macronutrients anyway, and our bodies seem to know how to deal with that? Well, it is true that our bodies know how to deal and how to digest foods from nature, natural foods that they are adapted to. All three macronutrients in natural food is not a problem, but when we combine different foods of different composition, different character, and different digestive requirements, that is a problem for our body. Test and see. Eat for a while simply, and then eat something that is against combining rules, and see what happens. And now I would love to hear from you. What is your thought on this topic, and what is your experience with food combining? I would appreciate to see your comments, so please leave them down below. I hope this explanation was beneficial to you. If that's so, please give this video a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me daily on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, and Pinterest, all under Health Glows. Until the next video, I'm sending you warm regards and keep glowing. Bye bye!